Hey people, welcome to the Run Testers Kieran here. Welcome to our first run look at the Mizuno Neo Vista. We've been taking this for a first run to find out how the modifications and the changes stack up in this second gen Neo Vista shoe. So let's get into it. First up, some key details, and the Neo Vista 2 stack height comes in at 45mm on the heel, 37mm on the forefoot for an 8mm drop. That's notably bigger midsole stack and bigger drop than you're going to get from the Neo Zen. It weighs in at 9.5 ounces or 267 grams in my UK men's 8. That's a US men's 9 test shoe. On price, it's £150 in the UK, $200 in the US. That is a $20 bump in the US over the Neo Vista first gen. Let's give you a quick shoe width round then, starting with the midsole, which has a dual foam setup. You've got a big wedge of supercritical nitrogen infused Mizuno Energy Next foam up top. That's there to provide the kind of bounce and the energy. There's a slice of nitrogen infused EVA at the bottom. That's there to sort of bring some stability. More on that later. In amongst all of that, there's a Mizuno Wave plate. That is also there to provide stability and disperse the impact from the foot strike. The midsole is rockered with what Mizuno calls its kind of smooth speed assist geometry. Again, that's going to try and give you some smoothness through those transitions and help you move from heel down to toe off really nicely. Up top, you've got a new knit upper with an integrated tongue with this kind of one-piece sort of booty style design. The uppers here are perforated down the sort of outside, but otherwise I'd say everything's quite kind of dense and strong. It's not too thick though. You get two pull tabs, one on the heel, one on the tongue, to help you get the shoe on into that booty fit. There is no padding in the heel, and there's no real heel counter to speak of. These kind of claps down. You just get these sort of two overlays on the outside to offer some side support. When you flip them over, you've got two big sweeps of Mizuno's X10 rubber either side of a big central cutout where you can see that Mizuno Wave plate. These trenches look wide enough to avoid stone catching unless you're running over very big rocks.
So the fit for me in the Neo Vista 2, I'm a size 8 in the UK. I actually just got back from a run and I realised that these are 7.5s and they're not an 8. And I was going to say they fit pretty much perfectly for me. There's plenty of space before the big toe, there's plenty of space around the forefoot, and there's a nice bit of space in the midfoot as well. And the upper changes to this shoe have given it a bit more structure, so it's definitely a more lockdown fit. This sort of booty design, I did mention it with the original Neo Vista, that it can be a little bit tricky to get a nice lockdown fit in it, but there have been some structural changes to the upper in this shoe which do make it feel like it's a lot more locked down. But in UK 7.5, I would say that's pretty much perfect for me. I wouldn't want this any bigger, so I'd probably say size down half a size in this shoe, because 7.5 is absolutely spot on for me when I normally would go for a UK size 8. But yeah, all in all, very comfortable shoe, and I do like the new updates to the structure of the upper that just make it a little bit easier to get a nice lockdown fit than the previous version.
So I found the fit of the Mizuno Neo Vista 2 to be a little bit off for me. It comes up quite large. I've actually got a UK 8.5 here, a US 9.5, which is half a size down on my normal size. That's the same size I had in the Neo Vista 1, where I had a pretty good fit, I would say. It was quite close around the toes. Got a lot of room at the front of the shoe with the Neo Vista 2, despite the fact it is half size down on my normal size. So I think it is quite a big, roomy upper. It's like quite stiff in a way, and stands up a long way off the foot, which does create a nice amount of space if you have like a higher volume foot than me. But as someone with a narrow foot, I did find it maybe almost a little bit baggy, I would say. But it held very securely around the heel and midfoot when I was running. I didn't have any problems with my foot moving around too much despite this extra room here, but it does seem to come up quite large. And if you like a more dialed in fit, it would be a good one to try on, I would say, for sure, if you could. But maybe look at going half a size smaller than you did on the Neo Vista 1, and in general potentially half a size down might be the way to go.
To give you a quick word on fit then, and I actually ran in a UK 8. My normal size would be a UK 8.5, but I think that's what Mizuno recommended. I was a bit sceptical, but actually these come up better half a size down. There's still loads of room towards the end of the toe box. Everything holds really nicely across the top of the midfoot. I've got quite high feet, and these kind of booty shoes tend to be a little bit of a struggle. It's a real help to have these heel pulls and the front pulls to get the foot into the booty fit, and then once it's in there, it actually just feels really nice and snug with a good amount of wiggle room. There's hold across the sort of toe knuckles without being restrictive. There's a bit of flex there, so I don't feel cramped. I just feel nicely held. The midfoot locks down really well, and then coming back into these heel collars, you've obviously got these very sort of minimal heel collars
there's not too much by way of padding and cushioning in the back there, and that can sometimes be a problem. But there's also not much by way of a sort of too strong a heel counter. So I'm not getting any digging or anything. It just really sort of holds and supports. I think if you like a sort of heel counter and you need a bit of heel support, you're not going to get a lot from that there. I don't tend to suffer from that, and actually it just feels nice and comfortable with no digging in. So actually, based on that first run, I think Mizuno was right, and going half a size down might be the way to go.
So I've just been out for a 10k run at a nice comfortable pace for me. So that was around 5-minute kilometers, which is generally the pace that I normally run at when I'm going out and just ticking off the miles and I'm not doing a speed session or anything like that. And it's generally the sort of run that I would mainly use this shoe for. The original Mizuno Neo Vista I used to use generally if it was a shoe that if I was going out for a run, as going out to 10k or 15k and I just wanted a nice fun comfortable run and I might want to go faster at some point, I'd use that shoe and I'd very much enjoy it. It's a really fun shoe. So this is much of the same. There are a couple of updates to this shoe which are noticeable on the run. The upper is one which I've spoken about already. That does make a difference to the lockdown and the fit. But the other one is this nitrogen infused layer of midsole foam that you get in the shoe. And I think what it does is this is slightly heavier than my Mizuno Neo Vista size 8. Not by much, about 10 grams. But it does feel like there's a little bit more to this midsole foam than in the Neo Vista. I absolutely loved the original Neo Vista. I thought it was bouncy, fun, just great to wear if you want a really enjoyable run. Also quite versatile, and was one of my favourite shoes of the past year. I think this is similar, but I did feel on that run that there's a little bit more denseness to that midsole foam, presumably to give it a little bit more support or stability, because some people did find the previous version a little bit wobbly. So I would say that the ride is pretty similar. It's very enjoyable to run in. You just feel a nice bit of bounce as soon as you start getting out there. It makes the run really easy. And at a nice comfortable pace. It's a really fun shoe to run in. I very much enjoyed that 10k, and it just felt like a really easy run, even though I picked up the pace a little bit, and it just felt absolutely great because I think it's still quite a versatile shoe, but I'll do more faster sessions in it. But I do think that midsole foam from off the back of that run, it does feel like there's a bit more to it now. So it feels like it's a little bit denser. It's still very soft shoe. It still really sinks you into the ground. It just feels like from that denseness you get a little bit more bounce back, a little bit more power back from it. Not massively. I don't think it's a really big change from the previous version. It's a very similar ride, but I would say that that's the most noticeable thing I got off of that 10k. But absolutely loved that run, and definitely going to become one of my shoes of the year for ticking off the miles and going out and doing lots of daily runs, because I really like the feel of this shoe. Nothing on the outsole yet because I haven't done 10k in it, but it does look like a really good covering on the outsole. I quite like the design of this, and yeah, it looks like it's going to be relatively durable because it's a fairly thick layer of rubber.
So I've just done my first run in the Mizuno Neo Vista 2. I didn't get to run in the original ones. I did run in the Zens, which I found very soft, and some people said that these were, equally as sort of wild but had a bit more energy to them. Now what I just did out there was I did like a 1 mile sort of warm up, fairly easy, and then I kicked into doing some 6-something minute miles, which would be, I think both of them were faster than my marathon pace, so I really pushed it to try and see what they feel like when you actually get the boot down. And the sensations that I've got coming here: super soft, super compressive midsole that springs back with good energy. There's quite a lot of rolling from the rockering. They're not particularly stable. There's a lot of wobbling going on. You've got to work to control these shoes. You've got to find the sweet spot. It's another one of those. When you're landing further back, I get a bit more rolling sort of around the heels because the heels compress. There's no protection sort of lateral side, particularly the medial side as well when you're landing further back on the heel. So there's going to be a bit more wobble if you're landing further back. If I'm a bit more sort of mid to forefoot but heavier, it kind of is okay, although it's not the most stable. There is good protection from the soft cushioning. Are they fast? I think they are. One thing I sort of feel like I wanted a bit more stiffness. Oh, I've got a bit of sweat in my eye. Let's just wipe that out. Sorry about that. Sweat going in, that stings, a bit salty. One thing I wish they had was a little bit more stiffness. I wanted something a little bit more to kind of control that foam and give me that kind of spring lever effect forward. I feel like I miss that a little bit in these shoes, or at least I can't feel it enough. Is it a good trainer to go and run fasting? Well, on those sort of first impressions, I would say, I mean, as a sort of super trainer built for doing fast efforts, it coped admirably with what I just did out there. It was certainly giving me something back. I'm not sure whether or not, based on that really sort of my instinct is that this is be my sort of favourite sort of super trainer shoe. I think personally I want a little bit more rigidity underfoot, along with that kind of compressive and rebounding cushioning. But they did what I needed. They're comfortable on the foot. I've gone half a size down here, so I was surprised by that, but this is a nice snug fit with room in the toe box. And overall, on the foot, they're sort of nice and disappearing. You always look at those minimal heel collars and wonder, particularly when they come up high, if they're going to rub and be uncomfortable. But these haven't, and everything feels nice and snug, bit of flex, all the usual things that I would look for in a hugging kind of race shoe or super trainer. So they tick those boxes.
So just heading out to do first run in the new Mizuno Neo Vista 2. I've got a pretty standard training run on the plan today, an easy to steady 45 minutes with some strides afterwards. It's probably start off somewhere around 4:30, 4:40 a K pace, work down to around 3:40 a K pace by the end usually, and then a few sharper strides at the end to prep the body for a short session tomorrow on the track. So yeah, pretty steady daily training run. I really like the original Mizuno Neo Vista as a shoe that could gobble up a lot of miles in a really comfortable and fun and bouncy way, and really interesting to see how the changes made to the shoe affect its feel on the run. So just back from the first run in the Neo Vista 2, like I said, the easy steady 45 with some strides at the end. All went pretty much as normally when I'm running on my local loops around Chingford, and hit the kind of paces I'd expect to hit in the shoe. And it felt pretty good for those paces. You do, I think, have a softer ride here, a bit more bounce than the Neo Vista 1. It's definitely comfortable at very easy paces. This is definitely a shoe with a lot of range in that regard. I think this is one you could cruise around in very comfortably at slow paces. You've got a little bit of instability, but it's not that bad given the high stack of the shoe. The soft foam plate helps kind of to counter that a bit. I think maybe that canyon-like cutout on the bottom as well kind of centers your foot a little bit. So it didn't feel too wobbly today. There were times when it wasn't as stable as a more traditional trainer, something like a Brooks Ghost when you take a sharp corner, but it was okay. And then as I went through the gears, it moved pretty well. I think it's definitely quite a different feel, I think, to the Neo Vista 1. I actually came back and did a short run with one on each foot, the Neo Vista on one foot and the Neo Vista 2 on the other, just to see how that felt. And I think there is a bit more firmness to the first model of the shoe with the different foams in the midsole there, but actually as quite a high cadence shuffly runner, I think that does facilitate my turnover a little bit better than the softer, bouncier feeling you get from the Neo Vista 2 when it comes to running at faster paces, because there is quite a lot of squish there, and it does bounce back well, but it's not like a really rapid response here. It's not like you're really getting punched forward. There's not that level of aggressiveness to the rocker and the foam and the plate combination there. It's a bit more relaxed and controlled, and that's good for kind of cruising around today, like picking up the pace a little bit, but not sure how that would feel moving at faster paces still, when maybe actually the slightly firmer feel you had from the Neo Vista 1 might help a bit for someone like me who has, like I say, high cadence. I like generally slightly firmer platform to push off and just try and turn over quickly rather than necessarily getting a load of bounce, because I like a bouncy shoe, but I think probably runners who have a bit more of a loping gait will really love the extra bounce here on the Neo Vista 2. And I did enjoy it certainly today cruising around, but I'm not sure performance has changed that much from the Vista 1. It's maybe just a slightly different style of shoe, but yeah, it was an enjoyable first outing for sure, cruising around in the sunshine in what is a fun and bouncy shoe.
First impressions then, I've actually now done 2 runs, around 10 miles in total in the Neo Vista 2. The second 10k was a bit more leisurely, and from those early miles together, there are some things here that I like. There are some things I'm not so convinced about. I love the way the shoe looks. I really like the booty fit and the comfort on the foot. I think everything in that sense works really well. You just feel well held, that you won't get much support, particularly back into the heel. And if you need that, this might be lacking. I enjoyed the cushion, the energy you get from the midsole. It's generally sort of cushy and bouncy, lively and a bit of fun. More so if you land further back into the heel. It feels quite light for a big stack shoe, and it's got a pretty good pace range. However, for my preferences, I find that I want a little bit more stiffness and control, a bit more kind of leverage. It's a touch soft for me, and that brings some wobbliness and instability, a little bit less immediacy. So far, I've just wanted a little bit more snap along with the compression and bounce. I had the same from the Neo Zen, and I think these shoes have quite a distinct ride. I can see a lot of runners enjoying this combination of cushion and bounce though. It is lightweight, it's a great package, it feels great on the foot, and it is full of energy. And it is a generally kind of fun shoe to roll around in. I personally just, if I'm picking holes, I just wanted, for those first runs, I wanted a little bit more of that kind of immediate sort of snap off rather than sort of the sink and then return and the bounce. But that is something that I tend to prefer in my shoes. If you like it nice and soft and cushioned with energy and bounce, then I think this shoe actually might tick the boxes for you.
So I don't think I learned anything too conclusive from that first run in the Mizuno Neo Vista 2 in terms of how I'd rate its performance or how much I like it, but it does have a different feel to the first version of the shoe. It is a bit softer and springier for sure, and that has positives and negatives, I would say. I wouldn't just say that's a uniformly positive change. As someone, like I say, with high cadence, maybe the slightly firmer feeling from the Neo Vista 1 gives me a little bit more back in terms of a faster turnover. But yeah, you have got that softer foam in the midsole there. You've got a different upper as all round as well. That's definitely a difference in fit I would look out for if you are looking from going from the Neo Vista 1 to the 2. But it moved through the gears pretty happily there. I do think it's going to be a fairly versatile shoe for that kind of daily training. Looking forward in particular to getting out for a long run in the shoe, because that's where the Neo Vista 1 really excelled. You could just bounce merrily along. It isn't a shoe that feels particularly light and fast, despite the fact you've got a plate in there. It does feel much more geared towards the easier end of the running. I did in it today, but I will get out for the shoe in a more speed focused run all around and try and see how it feels. But yeah, it was a pretty enjoyable first run. Like the first version of the shoe, I think this is going to be a really good cruiser, and a lot of people will be keen on this softer, springier design it has now. But I still think it's kind of excels in the same areas as the Neo Vista 1, which will be as a plated train that's geared more towards your everyday running. Like, it's not overly stiff or anything like that. It's quite relaxed, quite comfortable. It's got a fun, bouncy feeling, but isn't really geared to go and run very fast in, I would say, compared to things like the Hoka Mach X2 or the Saucony Endorphin Speedline that are plated trainers that are geared up a bit more for speed. This feels more like a shoe for bouncing through long and easy runs. But obviously we'll have a lot more to say about its performance for different kinds of runs when we've done those runs in it. So yeah, look out for our full review in a few weeks.
So my initial verdict on the Mizuno Neo Vista 2, it is very similar to the previous version, which is what I wanted. I didn't want a massive deviation from that because I absolutely love that shoe. I think the difference really comes down to the slight tweaking of the midsole foam, this nitrogen infused layer in it. But it feels very similar to me, just a slight bit denser, and I think probably a little bit more stable as a result. But also it feels like when you're rolling forward and moving off, you just get a little bit more stored energy back from that denser midsole foam. So I think it might even be a bit better for longer distance sessions and things like that, just because it's probably a bit better tuned for just giving you a little bit more of that energy back. But all in all, if you've tried the Neo Vista, the original, you're not going to be surprised by this. It's very similar. Just a slight tweaking on that, but very much the shoe that I wanted to see. I didn't want massive updates to the Neo Vista because I really like that shoe, so I'm pretty pleased with it off the back of that first run, and looking forward to doing some more sessions in it, especially some faster sessions, because I did enjoy the Mizuno Neo Vista, but going out and doing fartleks and intervals to an extent, because I just really enjoyed that bounce that you get from the shoe.
So there you have it. That's been our first run look at the Mizuno Neo Vista 2. Hope you found it useful. Don't forget to hit like if so. Hit us up with some comments below to find out, let us know what you want to see in the review. Points we've not covered in there. There'll be quite a lot. We'll continue to do the testing. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel and you've hit the bell to know when that video lands. It'll be coming as soon as the other boys have got the shoes, or we've all done our testing. In the meantime, if you're interested in super trainers, we're going to pop a video up on the channel. You should definitely go and watch right now. And then otherwise, until we see you next time, happy running, people.